one with four-wheel disc brakes as standard, and delivery on Magnum GLS is now okay. Mitsubishi Car Maker of the Year sure makes the value cars of the year.
And while we're having a look at the Coburg side out there, Rex Hunt, how do you summarise the game?
I just think it's been a game dominated by Coburg's brilliant team effort, Phil. I think their half-back line has been absolutely sensational, led by Nimmo and Harbinson. As Bruce said, Sheldon hasn't had to do a lot, and I think that Evans is to be commended for the way he's come good on the full forward in Jamie Shaw. Shaw, they're relying too much on young Jamie, the Preston side, and he now needs a great deal of support. But for me, Preston are in all sorts of trouble. They certainly didn't need this loss. Coburg, on the other hand, are taking all before them. They've had a confidence-boosting win in a situation where I believe they may have thought they'd have been lucky to get out with the 4 points.
And we have with us Pat Abbott as we look at the score quarter by quarter. And you can see there, since the first quarter, of course, Coburg have been right on top. But Pat Abbott, a former VFA umpire and secretary of the Preston side. Pat, you'd be very disappointed in the performance out there?
Oh, extremely disappointed, Phil. Certainly the worst performance I've seen from a Preston side for many years, actually.
What do you think the problem is?
Well, I wish I could answer that, really. They've just been beaten almost in every position all over the ground by Coburg. Coburg have just played brilliant football, and we just haven't been in it at all since the first quarter.
Well, Tony Banks said to Peter Waitman when he was talking on the last change that he said, well, OK, is Preston a dry weather side? Peter said, well, I'd like to think so. But he said if it's wet in the finals, it's no good of saying that. Are they a better side than dry weather?
I would say they are a better side in dry weather, but let's not forget that it is a winter game and you've got to expect wet weather games, Phil. Hopefully the finals will be played in dry weather, but I don't think we can offer that as an excuse because, as I said, it is a winter game and you've got to sort of contend with wet weather.
Pat, looking to the finals, it's going to be hard to come back now. Have you got any players that are out today that might give you a boost?
No, not really, because unfortunately our captain David Bryan is out and he won't play during the final series. Obviously, we do have a couple of skillful players in Paul Hart and David Hackney who could perhaps come back into the side in dry weather, could be very good players.
Good, thank you very much, Pat.
Thanks,
and
Phil.
The scores out here, Coburg 16-12, Preston 6-9, and let's check on this news break.
The shortest trip in an ambulance now costs $108. $350 is not unusual. A regular user could pay around $5,000 a year. Only ambulance subscribers avoid these high charges. You can join for $26 a year, less if you're single or a pensioner. Then if you need an ambulance, it won't cost you a cent. Join now. Ring 656-1919 for immediate cover. You could be saving yourself hundreds of dollars.
M&M's milk chocolates. Delicious full cream milk chocolate, covered with a crisp, colourful shell. And now a new M&M's. M&M's milk chocolate with peanuts. Whole, fresh roasted peanuts smothered in milk chocolate, then covered with a crisp, colourful M&M shell. M&M's milk chocolates and milk chocolate with peanuts. The milk chocolate melts in your mouth, not in your hand.
Good afternoon. The swing against the state government in yesterday's by-election for Nunawading was between 4 and 6%. When counting ended last night, Liberal candidate Rosemary Varty was nearly 9,000 votes ahead of her ALP rival Bob Ives. The Victorian ALP has called a special state conference to discuss the government's refusal to hold an inquiry into the jailing of BLF boss Norm Gallagher. Overseas, and the death toll from yesterday's car bomb explosion in East Beirut has risen to 50, with 100 people injured. It exploded outside a supermarket crowded with Saturday morning shoppers. The building was torn apart and cars burst into flames. There'll be more news on 10 in 1 hour.
Imagine you drive into your favourite shopping centre and you get your car serviced while you shop by fully qualified auto technicians working to an agreed plan that provides a written report and gives you plenty of change at the end of the day. This is not a pipe dream. It happens daily at over 100 K-Care centres right throughout Australia. All these services, all guaranteed. K-Care, backed by Kmart. The kind of service you always hoped you'd get, and with a money-back guarantee.
We'll put a smile on your face with your everyday taste of Smith's. should. Bet you never thought a chip could taste so good. We'll put a smile on your face with the real potato taste. Put a smile on your face with the real potato taste. Put a smile on your face with the real potato taste. Hostess.
230. 230 Brunswick Street. 230 Brunswick Street, Fitzroy. Remember Eric. Remember Eric Planensek. Remember Eric Planensek's winter sale. 230. 230 Brunswick Street. 230 Brunswick Street, Fitzroy. Now on, but hurry.
Right, now just before the bounce of the ball, Tony Banks, what did the coach have to say there?
Wasn't very happy at all, Phil, which is a bit of an understatement, I suppose, but he did admit that the Preston team had gone over the hilt in the last quarter, and that's why he didn't bother to send out one message. He said they've got to make up for it in this quarter.
Righto, thank you, Tony. And there goes the ball up now to start the final quarter. Let's see if Preston can make up something here in the final quarter. They'll be a desperate side, as we see now Dunbar getting his kick out wide towards the wing. Moving in is Ross. He's having difficulty in controlling the ball. Will be pushed towards the boundary line here by Harbinson. Umpire blows the whistle. He's coming in and has given the free kick to Preston, and it'll be taken this time by Watt. So Watt from the wing plays it up towards the centre half forward zone. No one able to get it. Halbert's got it. He goes for the hand pass. Gets it across here towards Angwin. Angwin up towards the wing on the outer side of the ground. Bit of pace coming in now from Dintin Asante. Can he get it back towards Fife? Fife's there covering. He came in for the ball, but sharked away again by Angwin, following it up. And here now it'll come up through the agency of Freeman. Freeman towards centre forward, and he's put it through for one behind. Right, now, as we have that behind scored, let's go over to Ian for statistics on the game to this stage.
They basically show that Coburg have been totally dominating the game with a total of 225 possessions to 191, still strong in the air with 76 marks to 42.
Righto, and now we have Dintin Asante playing it wide of the centre, and the mark has been taken by Nimmo. So Nimmo now from this position puts it high in the air. He's looking for Webster. Webster's in between several players. Going over the top of them was Watt, but it was Dunbar who kicked it out towards the wing on the stand side of the ground. Scooping it up off the ground was Watt again, who moved right across field. He's being nicely shepherded as he kicks the ball towards the half-forward line. No one able to take the mark down here. And eventually we see Fitzpatrick passing it away from the pack to Markon. Markon getting grabbed high, but sends it towards the half-forward line, and the mark has been taken by Sheldon of Coburg. Sheldon in defence, across the centre half-back. Nimmo comes into it. Nimmo with a hand pass. He gets it across to Evans, who's right up from the full-back position. Evans up here. Fitzpatrick going up in the air. Fails to take the mark under pressure. Coming through is Dunbar. Dunbar gets the pass in from White to then McKeon. Downfield it goes now from Jordan, back into the hands of McKeon, and McKeon goes towards goal, but drops it that fraction short, and it looks like Evans getting in the air to take the mark in defence. It was Sheldon. So Sheldon now with a short pass towards that centre half-back position. Bit of a scramble going on here as the umpire says it will be a ball up again. Well, there it is happening again. And a good mark. Preston 6-9, Coburg 16-13. And it was Nimmo tapping it down into the middle of the pack. Comes out here to Fitzpatrick. Fitzpatrick gets the ball back again after a hand pass from Angwin. Fitzpatrick walking nicely, then gets the kick in towards the centre. And, nice mark, a nice grab there by Halbert. So Halbert from the centre. He gets the hand pass in. Fitzpatrick coming up, grabs it off the ground nicely. They're playing with a lot of certainty at the moment, Coburg. Goes past several players. Moving in this time is McCann. And McCann from the back pocket to the half-back line. But who's waiting for it here? None other than Allison. Been a very serviceable player today for Coburg. Hard to pick a poor player in the Coburg side. Halbert accepts the pass. He's got waiting out here Mansfield for it. Mansfield at the centre half-forward position with Jordan on the mark. So Mansfield of Coburg. Coming in for his 18th kick, making an early lead is Laidler. He's put the ball now on its way high in the air. It'll go out towards the behind post and punch through here by McKeon for another minor score to Coburg. They move on to 16-14, 110 on the Mitsubishi scoreboard, and we have Preston trailing on 45.
Dintino Santi to bring her back in for Preston. They still haven't scored a goal since early in that second term. Goes straight down the centre. Fitzpatrick underneath it and takes a splendid mark. It's been a great play for them today, Rex, as he goes across to Halbert. Halbert with a drop punt to the goal square. Laidler. Oh, spectacular mark, and it's been paid. He used his body strongly. I'm not sure whether the ball hit the ground or not, but full marks to him anyway.
It was an excellent mark. Used his body particularly well, and what good play it was, too, by the players further afield. Yes, that's a clear mark, in my opinion. Used it very, very well. He's been a good player, and he's kicked 4 goals.
He's kicked 5 now, 17-14 to 6-9. And Preston go further ahead on the Mitsubishi scoreboard.
Why buy a car that's just one of the herd when you can get a real workhorse? And a racehorse? And a pack horse? And a rocking horse? And a cart horse? And a seahorse? All in one frisky little thoroughbred, Colt. It makes good horse sense. From Mitsubishi, car maker of the year.
Well, what an incredible state of affairs we have here at Preston. 17-14 to 6-9 on the Mitsubishi scoreboard. After at one stage, Preston had got within 8 points early in that first quarter. Left-footed by Nimmo towards centre half forward, but taken by Dintino Santi. Preston backline's been under tremendous pressure all day. McKeon was in the front. Now Watt, as the rain comes down again fairly heavily here at Preston. Watt gets it out to McKeon. McKeon on the boot very quickly, but straight to Halbert. Halbert to Fitzpatrick. Fitzpatrick's been as good as anybody in the second half. Goes short to Tulloch. Most impressed with Tulloch. Now Tulloch's got Laidler short. That's where he's going to go. But Jordan chipped in to take the mark. Trying to finesse a bit at the moment, Coburg. They're so far in front that I suppose they can take some chances. White goes wide. Wants Marcon. Now Marcon can go over the top. Tries to break Mansfield's tackle. Does do so. Then goes short. Now taken by Watt. On the ground. Left foot. Wants Shaw. Big fellow in front. Evans, who's done a great job since quarter time. Harbinson's handball very good to Dalglish. Dalglish in trouble, but well done by Litley. Just scooped that up beautifully. And then goes wide to Fitzpatrick. And Fitzpatrick's dominating the centre. Goes short. Edwards on a lead. White at the back. Beautifully snared there by the other White with the H as he goes wide, and he finds Jordan as this rain continues to tumble down, and Preston still want a goal. Jordan to Warren at half forward. Started off at centre half back. High drop punt. Ross underneath it. Thumped it on. Probably should have tried to mark it. Taken by Engwin, who's got better as the game's gone on. To Allison. Allison's got a paddock now. Markin's going to have to try and run him down. Tulloch short. That's the way he'll go. How many kicks is that in? 20 kicks for Allison, and it's going to be a ball in. So 116 to 45, things aren't getting any better for Preston, Rex.
Well, they certainly won't now. I think Preston can start thinking about Box Hill next week, but Coburg certainly have been the dominating side, and Preston don't have the same finesse when they've got the ball as Coburg. They've got no desire. Well, they've got desire for sure, but they don't have any system, Bruce.
Fitzpatrick's kick up to Webster, and Webster takes the pass. And very, very heavy rain coming down here. I'm just looking at that cloud cover. It stretches for miles. So we'll have rain for a while. He's kicked 2 so far, Webster. Put it on its way. He kicked 8 last week, but it'll go right near the behind post and over the line and out. Preston 6-9, 45, trailing Coburg 17-14, 116. We'll see Coburg again next week. They'll be playing Port Melbourne at Coburg. Port Melbourne battling for their position in the final 4. Fitzpatrick goes for the short pass across towards Laidler once again. It didn't come off this time, but here's the opportunity for them down on the forward line with Freeman. Freeman gets the kick, and where does he put it? Straight into the hands of Webster. Webster turned around and saw the ball was there, right in the chest.
See what happens, Phil, when things are going your way. If Preston had have done that, they'd have kicked it straight to the opposition, but that's the way things go for you when you've got the run of the ball.
Yes, you could kick it from anywhere, Rex, when they're playing like that. And he's put it through for another one. Coburg 18-14, Preston 6-9.
Shocked by your kitchen price lately? If you have been, it wasn't from us. Half-Cost Kitchens and staff have had many years' experience in kitchen manufacture and installation. Half-Cost Kitchens are expertly created to match your lifestyle with a large range of finishes. Half-Cost Kitchens and staff realise when working for larger companies just what price you could do a quality kitchen for. This is what we offer, quality without the high price tag. Half-Cost Kitchens mobile showroom is only a phone call away. Phone 7 days on 823-383 or come and visit us.
All right, comes wide of the centre of the ground, out towards the stand side of the ground, and moving into it now is McCann. McCann gets offloaded, and again we see Coburg with the chance here. It comes through in the direction of Laidler. He's playing brilliantly at the moment. He gets it up here towards Edwards. He goes for the pass back, comes into the hands of Mansfield. Mansfield of Coburg towards centre forward, but moving in here is... Oh, have a look at that, poke in the face from White. But they don't seem to be able to get it up on the forward line at all. The umpire will now call Fitzpatrick right back off the mark. Gives a 15-metre penalty. So now we have White going for his kick wide of the centre of the ground. Up they go for it. Jordan's behind them. Halbert's in front of them. Jordan came in, got possession of the ball, then loses it, and it will be forced out to the boundary line and over once again. Preston 6-9-45, trailing Coburg 18-14, 122.
As this rain continues to fall heavily at Preston, Jordan at the back, repeating that Zannon's off the ground, the big ruckman for Coburg with a groin injury. We hope that he'll be fit enough to play at least in the finals, if not next week against Port Melbourne. We've heard the news that Port Melbourne is well in front at three-quarter time. Williamstown struggling against Werribee. So at this stage, with that percentage difference, it looks like it'll be a Port Melbourne-Preston first semi and a Coburg-Sandringham second semi. Fitzpatrick, who's been a dominating player, to another dominating player in Mansfield. Looks for Webster. Almost a very good take. Dintinasanti did well to hold his ground under pressure there against Freeman, and then gives it to White. White off one leg virtually, kicks the ball out of bounds on the fall. So 122-45, and it's I think Pat said at three-quarter time that he couldn't remember a worse performance by Preston at home. Now to Halbert. Halbert's usually a very good kick. That's no exception. Right into the goal square. White dumps it through for a behind, and so it's 18-15 to 6-9. In fact, the free kick will go to Plowman, so 18-14 to 6-9. I think it's 10 minutes into the second quarter. Shaw kicked their sixth goal, and they haven't scored one since Preston. Marcon with a little one, not good. He wanted McKeon. McKeon over the top, back to Markin. This ground getting very, very heavy now. Markin with a screw punt towards the centre wing. And it's going to be a ball in. You can just see how muddy and slippery it is there. That was Dalgleish.
Bruce, who would have thought this is a Coburg side that got beaten in the first round by 14 goals by Preston at Coburg?
Well, one of the interesting things, Ian, is that they haven't been beaten since then, so they must have learned a lesson. That was the last game they'd lost, and again, it's going to be a ball up. So Coburg marching on towards the finals. Sandringham's also having a big win today against Springvale, and that's going to be a tremendous clash, that second semi-final. Mansfield, Fife underneath it, should take it, and he does. He struggled today, Fife. You've seen him play a lot better than this. That's his 11th kick. McCann misses it. Laidler, who's the acting captain today with Cleary not playing. G. Tulloch did well to run him down there. Halbert, ball skills very good. Long kick. This is good to Fitzpatrick. And it's all happening for Coburg and nothing happening at all for Preston. Fitzpatrick's kick 3. What's his stats, Ian?
He's had 23 kicks, 12 hand passes, and that was his 11th mark.
Waverley well in front of Morty Alec. Not bad stats, Rex.
Yes, he's got better as the game's gone on. They've got some magnificent players, Coburg. None better than the player on screen at the moment.
So Fitzpatrick from 25 metres. He's hooked that one and missed. So behind, so 3-2 to Fitzpatrick. And it's 18-15 to 6-9. Of course, Phil, you've got the job of picking the best player at the end of the game. It's going to be tough.
I'll tell you what, it's going to be tough. But we have the fortunate experience of having a statistician beside us. OK, it goes out towards centre half back. Players having a lot of difficulty with this ball. Over the top of them is Mansfield, and the umpire will call for a ball up. Well, as Bruce said, who would have thought this? Coburg coming out and playing so very, very solidly, and well, Preston folding up under the pressure that has been applied here today. Again, we'll see a free kick. This time it'll be going Preston's way. And it'll probably be Fife. We'll put it back this time to Markon or Yeomans. We'll be covering the Coburg Port Melbourne game next Saturday from the Coburg football ground. Goes up towards centre half forward, and it was Sheldon to come in and take the mark in defence for Coburg. So Sheldon now gets the lead from slightly wide of the centre, and it's Dalgleish who is the interchange coming on the ground. He passes it across towards Freeman. Freeman with a further pass, looking for his teammate in Tulloch. And Angwin is the player trying to get away. Allison comes into it now. Allison back in towards the centre of the ground, and again Coburg into attack up towards that centre half forward zone. Yeomans came into it. He couldn't handle the ball. A pick up by Halbert. Halbert is smothered. Edwards goes down to the ground. He taps it out, trying for Halbert. Halbert again dribbles it along the ground. A hands and knees job here by Dintin Asante, and eventually kicked away by Markon on towards the stand wing. Getting in front is Allison, and underneath as well, but also battling away was Ross. Ross gets the hand pass in, going down to try and meet the ball with Salvador. The umpire blows the whistle, a smack in the mouth went on there, and I reckon there'll be a free kick going to Salvador out of this. He now kicks it over towards centre half forward. Moving down this time is Jordan. Jordan gets it up towards that forward zone, but it's Sheldon coming in defence. He plays it towards the half-back line, and Littler goes for his kick now, wide of the centre of the ground, and Angwin is the player to gain possession. Angwin into the centre of the ground. Moving across is Nimmo. Nimmo towards Fitzpatrick. Fitzpatrick was held, but couldn't get control of the ball. Halbert comes into it here. He ends up underneath them, and the umpire coming across with Fitzpatrick coming out with the ball has indicated there'll be a free kick to Yeomans. So Yeomans from the half-back line. One of the Bull Ants who's trying to get back into the play, but the little men have not been very effective today. The umpire's saying, kick over your mark, son, and the ball will be brought back. So Coburg 18-15, 123. Let's have a look at this one first. 1 point the difference. An interesting game between Caulfield and Sunshine. 1 point the difference. And in this game, we have at Coburg 18-15, 123 to Preston 6-9, a total of 45.
Jordan with the ball, taps it back. If Caulfield can beat Sunshine today and they're in point in front, they'll probably make the 4 because Moorabbin have got a tough game next week. Free kick there going to Preston against Coburg. This game's really died out, Rex. There hasn't been much fire or spirit, unfortunately, from Preston, as we see Sandringham a mile in front against Springvale.
Yes, Coburg just going through the motions at the moment. I think Preston trying to salvage something from the wreck, but there's not much coming out at this stage. Preston just totally undermanned, and Coburg gaining confidence with every minute.
Harbinson has been pulled up, or Mansfield's been pulled up for shepherding behind play. So against Mansfield there, and the free kick will go to Shaw. Shaw, who kicked 5 goals, low scoring game of Box Hill. That's a surprise too. Box Hill down near the bottom against Frankston in the middle. Shaw goes short and finds Salvador, and Salvador really should kick Preston's first goal for more than 2 quarters. Port Melbourne, a big win over Paran. So Port looks safe now for the 4, even if they lose next week. Now Salvador from 25 metres out, drop punt. He's a good kick normally. He's goaled 7-9 to 18-15.
What do you know when you're an officer in the Army Reserve? When you're miles from anywhere with just a map and a compass and 30 soldiers under your command. When you're an officer in the Army Reserve, you know you're in charge. Army Reserve officer training is part-time. Applications are now open. For details, call this number. Achieve something for yourself. Become an officer in the Army Reserve.
Exactly 12 goals the difference on the Mitsubishi scoreboard. 18-15 Coburg to 7-9 Preston. Preston getting their first goal in more than 2 quarters of football. Missed there by Sheldon. McKeon with a quick left footer looking to Warren, and the ball will go out of bounds on the half forward flank. So the main goal kicker so far, Shaw's got 5, and he's of course for Preston, and Laidler has 5 for Coburg. It'll be tough trying to pick the best player for Coburg. They've got about 10 outstanding players. Mansfield with a handball to Angwin. Angwin with a very long left footer towards half forward. Free kick against Tulloch, and it'll go to Fife at half back. Fife, who's a versatile player, goes short, finds McKeon. He's got better as the game's gone on. Left foot round his body towards half forward. Watt in the front spot, Littler over the back, taken by Dunbar, who's had a quiet one, but he has been injured for much of the season. Left foot by Dunbar was a good kick in towards the goal square. Free kick will go to Salvador for legging against Angwin. So Grat Salvador, who went off in the second quarter with a thigh injury and has come back, now has a great chance of kicking his second goal for the game and Preston's second goal for the second half. Similar angle to the last time he scored, except on the opposite side. Only 25 metres out. Drop punt, looks good, goal. So it's 8-9 to 18-15.
Look, you could win cash and cars, a total of $100,000 in prizes. Just remove the bread from special cash and cars bread bags and look through the windscreen. You could win up to $1,000 instantly, or one of 3 Ford Lasers. There's even a Ford Fairlane to be won. So buy Home Pride Super Sandwich Maker.
Gotta be Home Pride, Home Pride. Home Pride bread.
Or buy Sunny Crust Super Loaf or Tip-Top Sun-Blessed White Sandwich and win cash and cars while you enjoy the goodness of your favourite bread.
Righto, back here and just repeating the score, 18-15 to 8-9 in Coburg's favour. Preston getting a couple of goals then, but it will be to no avail. They've been playing a total of 20 minutes into the final quarter. And here's the ball now coming out to the boundary line. Salvador, or rather Tinasante, comes into it. He got grabbed pretty high, but the umpire allows play to continue. Halbert tried to get it out wide, pushed away from the pack into the hands of Yeomans. Yeomans passes it to Marcon. Marcon now towards the centre. Oh, nearly kicking in danger there. Tapped away by Marcon again. Back here towards Halbert, however. Halbert under pressure, kicks it towards centre half forward. Picking it up this time is the big fellow in white. White out towards the wing, and the mark has been taken by Ross. Ross of Preston now with Northcote 61 leading Moorabbin 29. Goes wide of the centre of the ground. Players having a lot of trouble. Warren tried to gain possession then, couldn't do so. Yeomans is the player to get his kick in towards that half-forward line. There's McKeon coming into it. McKeon down towards Shaw. Shaw a bit far under the ball, and that's been one of the problems he's had for most of the day, leading out and getting too far under the ball. Now Angwin comes into it. Angwin towards the wing where the mark has been taken by Harbinson. Harbinson will go back to take the kick for Coburg, puts it up towards the half-forward line. Halbert moves down, punched away from him by Dim Tinasante, and it will be thrown back into play. Coburg 18-15, Preston 8 goals 9. Be interesting to see who the best player is on the ground for the Mitsubishi Trophy today. There's been several top-line performances by the Coburg players right throughout the 4 quarters. There's Jordan, who played a good game in the second quarter, has gone out of it a lot since. It ends up here with Yeomans. Yeomans up towards the forward zone and coming out to take the mark as Evans in defence for Coburg. He gets his kick in wide out towards Nimmo. Nimmo racing in, takes the mark. He can get around his opponent Salvador if he wishes. He had plenty of room to play in there. It's his 14th kick coming up. Feel a bit like Jerry G there as it goes up towards the forward line. Fitzpatrick coming into it. He's been a top-line player for the afternoon. Watt is the player to move into it, but taking possession now is Allison of Coburg. He gets it across in the direction of centre half forward. McKeon was battling away with it, but Fitzpatrick went for the hand pass, sharked here by Marcon. Marcon gets it into the centre of the ground where Jordan gains possession. Jordan now from the centre, touching it down once towards the half-forward line. And again, I think it was Evans who came out to take that mark. Early, Rex, we thought he was being well beaten there.
Well, he was. He had 5 goals kicked on him up to 10 minutes into the second quarter, and I thought Cleary had to change. He and Nimmo. Full marks to Evan. He's proved himself to be a very good player.
Tell you what, he can show a bit of pace when the ball hits the ground, can't he?
Well, I know what he feels like because I was the same.
I know a lot of people will agree with you. All right, it goes on towards the half-back line. Moving up to try and gain possession was Webster, Is that Webster down there?
He's having a run on the ball.
Yeah. So it'll be thrown back into play. Ruckman set themselves.
So Jordan doing battle with Littler, and Jordan going to get a free kick. Battled pretty hard, Jordan. Started at centre-half forward, but when Keenan was in all sorts of trouble against Zanon, he came onto the ball. Free kick against Salvador will go to Angwin. These two players were involved in a wrestling match before the ball had been bounced. Angwin with a left footer. At the back, Plowman. Good mark. Just come back into the Preston side. He's played in the last two premierships, Plowman. Left foot towards centre-half forward. Nimmo in the front spot. He'll be paid in front of Warren. 15th kick for Nimmo. He's been absolutely outstanding. It's all really started from him. Goes wide, looking for Fitzpatrick. Missed by Fitzpatrick. Taken by Dunbar. Dunbar with a short one to White in the centre. White goes direct towards centre-half forward. It's a very good kick. And he finds Yeomans, and that was probably the best passage of play we've seen from Preston, probably for the whole of the second half. Yeomans will get a 15-metre penalty.
Well, certainly the lights have gone out for Preston here at the moment, and they're trying to regain a little bit of confidence for next week, but Coburg certainly have been the dominant side. And as I said earlier on, they just couldn't have wished for a better lead up to the final.
So goal to Yeomans, that's his first, and it's 9-9 to 18-15.
Mine, John.
MasterCard, eh?
Yes, marvellous. 4 million places all around the world.
Is that right?
All over Australia.
Really?
Electronic shopping.
You don't say.
Late-night cash machines, petrol.
True.
Extended repayments. Cost you nothing to join.
And you get up to 55 days interest-free.
And you get...
With a Commonwealth Bank MasterCard, you get up to 55 days interest-free.
Oh.
I think I better get this one round.
Commonwealth.
The Commonwealth Bank MasterCard. You don't even have to bank with us to get one.
Score on the Mitsubishi scoreboard, 18-15 to 9-9. Preston's kicked the last 3 goals of the game, but I think Coburg are probably just resting a little. I don't mean that against Preston, but I think they've done the job, Rex, and with such a big lead, they could afford to perhaps take a breather at this stage.
That's for sure, Bruce. Comment well taken about Nimmo, too. He's been the architect of that back line. He's the captain of the back line, and he's had great support, but he has certainly been a very, very decisive player for Coburg.
Dunbar trying to break a tackle. Warren's handball to McKeon. He'll use Watt. Watt deep in the pocket. Good tackle by Littler. Outstanding tackle, and Watt's gone. Gee, that was desperation there, Rex.
Oh, there's a desperation of a man that's playing in a winning side. They're all confident. They're confident of each other. And he went for that ball to get that possession, and there's the result.
Nimmo thumps it on to Webster, who's come up from full forward to have a bit of a run on the ball, and it will be a ball in. So Phil Cleary would be pretty happy at the moment.
I'll say he would, and I'd like to say to Coburg supporters, come along to the Coburg ground next Sunday and support your team in the final home game of the season, playing a very tough combination in Port Melbourne, who obviously look as though they'll stay in the 4. But it'll still be a great battle. The ball comes up to Freeman of Coburg. Freeman now disposes of it, but coming in and picking it up this time is Dunbar. Dunbar out here in the direction of Plowman. Plowman with a hand pass to McKeon. McKeon across towards the centre, and the mark has been taken by Jordan. Jordan with a hand pass to Fife. It's intercepted by Halbert. Halbert shepherded this time by Fitzpatrick, and it goes out wide. The mark taken by Allison. Allison with a further hand pass across in the direction of Tulloch. Tulloch now goes for goal, and I think he'll put it through for one behind. And there's the siren to end the match with Coburg 18-16, 123, defeating Preston 9-9, a total of 63. We'll be back in a moment to give you full details on the match.
Mitsubishi announces the conquest of inner space. This is the new Mitsubishi Magna. How's this for inner space? More shoulder room than Holden Commodore. More leg room than Ford Telstar. More headroom than just about anybody. In fact, plenty of room all round for 5 hefty adults and their luggage.
The new Magna, a totally new class of car from Mitsubishi, Car Maker of the Year.
M&M's milk chocolates. Delicious full cream milk chocolate, covered with a crisp, colourful shell And now a new M&M's. M&M's milk chocolate with peanuts. Whole, fresh roasted peanuts smothered in milk chocolate, then covered with that crisp, colourful M&M shell. M&M's milk chocolates and milk chocolate with peanuts. The milk chocolate melts in your mouth, not in your hand.
Check these Super Father's Day gifts, like 12-volt lightweight car vacuum cleaners at just $14.20 each. Now that's what I call value.
If you haven't checked out your BP Super Shop Win and Save Bonanza catalog, you haven't seen anything.
Wow! 5-piece Daniel Forge open-ended spanner sets from $12.75. That's super value. And you can even win $100,000 worth of prizes.
That's right. It's the BP Visco making you a winner competition.
Now that's a winning catalog.
Don't drive past a bargain. Win and save now at the BP Super Shop near you.
Well, there we have the scene There we have the scene in the Coburg dressing room. Phil Cleary addressing his team. In a moment, we'll be taking it down to Tony Banks, but just repeating the final score. We have Coburg 18-15, 18-16, with a first-class win over Preston, 9 goals, 9. So it was 63 to 124. Tony Banks is ready for us down in the dressing room. I don't know whether we'll be able to hear Phil Cleary, but we'll take you down to Tony Banks for comments on the game.
Phil Cleary got the attention of everyone in the room, and he addressed his players. He was extremely pleased with their performance. We're just going to move over towards him now. Phil, we're on air at the moment. Congratulations on a tremendous effort. You've turned a 14-goal loss into a 10-goal win.
I think it was a magnificent performance by the boys. I think if people watching, it was under very difficult conditions, especially with the rain coming down. I think the football they played was very, very good in the conditions. They moved the ball well, and we kicked a lot of very good goals. But generally, the pressure of the game, our pressure, I think, was so great that Preston wilted in the end,
You must have been very pleased the way your players persevered. They went right through to the final bell.
Well, I was very happy with that. They probably only lapsed by about 2 goals in the last quarter, which was a, pretty fair effort, because often a side might kick a couple at the finish and sort of whittle away what's been a good victory. But overall, it was a magnificent effort by them. I think they did persist very much, all day. Non-stop.
And the conditions out there were pretty bad too.
They were very, very difficult. Yeah, very difficult. Very hard game for players. I think they'll all be very tired, but anyway, they'll have a nice break and we'll come up for the next game.
As captain coach and sitting on the bench, how did you feel today? Just sort of watching with your hamstring injury, obviously feeling like you would have liked to have got out there. What went through your mind?
Well, it's sort of ironical in a way. When you're playing, there's a lot more pressure on you. When you're not playing and you're actually watching the game, you've got a lot more time to sort of study the game and make moves, and you're probably a lot calmer watching than you are playing. I'm not as tired now as when I'd come up after a game where I've played, so in a lot of ways it's easier. It is easier to coach off the field. It was very tense early, but once they got underway and got a few goals up, I always thought we were going to win the game, so I don't think I was too nervous for most of the game.
There were several great individual performances by many of your players. Who do you think contributed best?
I thought Brad Nimmo's game was tremendous to go into the ruck after half-time. I thought Brian Allison played a magnificent game. I thought Gary Halbert again showed that he's probably the most skillful rover in VFA football. He's a truly great player. Zannon's first half was great. Unfortunately got a bit of a groin injury, but Robbie Evans, I thought, played a great game when you consider that Shaw's kicked 4 goals early on him and we didn't move him because I've always got a lot of faith in him. He often starts slow but finishes off very well, so I thought his game to come back was an excellent game, and I think that was sort of representative of how the whole team approaches the game. Like, they don't stop, they just keep pushing along and hoping to get out of any rut they're in.
It's incredible, Phil Gibbs has been up there watching the game, and his best player is Fitzpatrick.
Oh, he was one I forgot. He played a great game too, no doubt about it. He probably was, I would imagine, thinking about it, he'd probably be close to our best player, yeah.
And my best player was Mansfield, who I thought turned into a ripper.
I thought the Mans play well. I didn't think, well, it's hard to say now. I thought there was such a good team, it was hard to pick out particular players.
OK, well, let's get, thanks very much, Phil. Congratulations.
I'll say one thing, it's great to have the VFA back on TV. I think it's great football and we look forward to a good final series.
Thanks very much, Phil. The best player on the ground, Neil Fitzpatrick. Neil Fitzpatrick, there's the award.
I can't hear you, sorry, mate.
I hope it is Neil Fitzpatrick, is it? Yeah. Good. You're the best player on the ground today. The conditions out there must have been hard for you.
Well, very slippery at times. It was hard to handball and muck around a bit. But it was a good win, very good team effort. That's all I can say. Just everyone was running, it was just all teamwork, nothing else.
Were you surprised that the players were able to put it together for the entire 120 minutes?
Not really. No, it was just a good effort, you know. We wanted to beat them and we beat them. That's why, you know.
Better side on the day.
Oh no, we played better football on the day.
They deserve the double chance.
Oh yeah, for sure. That's for sure.
Okay, well, well done, very well done, Neil Fitzpatrick there, best player on the ground. From the Coburg rooms, let's head back to the panel upstairs.
All right, Tony, and I might mention that the decision up here of selecting Fitzpatrick for the Mitsubishi Trophy was made by Rex Hunt, Bruce McAvaney, Ian Gibbs and yours truly. So, Tony, 4-1 is not bad odds. Anyway, just repeating the final scores here before we go over to the Preston rooms, and then a summary on the game. The final score, 18-16 to the Coburg side, with Preston 9 goals 9.
David?
Yeah?
It's doing it again. It knows we're going.
Well, they sense these things, don't they? You get the kids ready, and I'll go out. Easy. Easy now.
That's another garage door, Dad.
It's a high-spirited Colt from Mitsubishi, car maker of the year.
Menage. Cool. Refreshing. Masculine. Now there's something a little on the wild side from Menage. Menage Musk, a warm and wildly exciting fragrance. Menage and Menage Musk for the man who doesn't have to try too hard.
Yes, and back here at the ground, we'll be going down to Tony Banks in the Preston room just as soon as they're ready. But Rex Hunt here with me. Rex, how did you see the game overall? A bit disappointing from a spectacle point of view after half-time.
Disappointing if you're a Preston supporter, Phil, and came down here to Kramer Street today to see your favourite side in action. I don't think Coburg in their wildest dreams would have expected to go home winners by 10 clear goals. They've certainly had a tremendous build-up to the VFA final series. I just hope that they're not too confident, because Sandringham are a very good side and you can never disregard Port Melbourne. I think Preston may bounce back, but gee, they were very poor today. They didn't have anything that they could call on once that initial business with Shaw had finished. They didn't have any other player who could dominate the game. Coburg, on the other hand, had 10 players, I believe, today that would have been unlucky not to score a vote.
Yes, I don't think Coburg will get overconfident. You heard Phil Cleary there. He's a very astute player, very astute coach.
Comes across pretty well, doesn't he? He doesn't give you that Professor Ratbaggy image that he's got on the television.
Well,
I used to sit back and watch him on the television and say, what a ratbag. But I tell you what, he's like me, Phil. He's a nice sort of a fella. You get the wrong impression about him, don't you?
I tell you, Phil's one of the personalities of VFA football, and long may he continue in the game.
I tell you what, he's got a decent sort of a football brain. The players obviously love him, but who wouldn't love him? Because he's won 12 in a row. I tell you what, they're on top and they're doing well.
Well, it's the first time I've heard Rex Hunt admit he was a ratbag.
What I'd like to know, Phil, is whether Phil Cleary will force his way back into the side. Just who would you drop after today? Of course he will, but it was an excellent performance by the whole team.
Yes, and next week, of course, is the big game between Coburg and Port Melbourne, and I don't expect that to be an easy game either.
No, well, Port Melbourne have played pretty well all year. They've been consistent, and they'll be looking for a good performance against Coburg to try and cement that fourth position next week. And, of course, it looks like it'll be Preston against Port Melbourne in that first semi-final. But, Ian, you've got some interesting statistics here. We know that Coburg won by 10 goals. How do they do it?
Well, some of their better players, and there are quite a few of them. The player we picked as the best player on the ground, Fitzpatrick, had 23 kicks with 13 hand passes, Allison 21, Mansfield 22 and Halbert 21. The total statistics, you can see where they've done it. They've had far more use of the ball than Preston. Total 301 possessions to 245. Probably the most interesting statistic is the marking. They totally dominated the air all day with 106 marks to 61 and hand passing 77 to 52. So they controlled the game all day and all over the ground.
You can't complain about the umpiring if you're a Preston fan, Phil. 46 free kicks to Preston, 25 to Coburg, but still a massive margin there.
Well, the umpiring must have been pretty good. It's an old saying, as we all know. If you don't notice them, they've done a good job. And we didn't notice them all that much today.
I think the really impressive thing about Coburg was their team play, and obviously this gets back to Phil Cleary, Rex. He really has got them working well. That half-back line in particular, Sheldon in the back pocket and Evans, their team play was fantastic.
Possession is the name of the game in VFA football, and this is why there's so many goals scored, because if the side kicks 26, you have to kick 27 to win. Coburg have got possession of the ball, and 3 or 4 times in the last quarter we saw them actually go backwards to retain possession. When you've got control of the ball, the skills come naturally.
Well, let's have a look at the scores quarter by quarter here, Rex, as they come up.
Well, you can see at quarter time that Preston really came back from the dead. Coburg had kicked the first 5 goals and Preston had only had 1 through Jamie Shaw, and then Shaw went bang, 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 and of course they were in commission there at quarter time. But Bruce said in the commentary during the last quarter that they did not score their next goal until nearly 20 minutes into the final term, and Coburg went on their merry way. They had everybody firing on the forward line, led by Nimmo and that great back line, great disciplined play, and let's not forget Evans. Evans really stamped himself as a genuine, good, close-checking full-back today. He was staring it down the barrel. I said that Cleary should move him and swap him at Nimmo, but gee, he certainly showed us and the viewers what a very good close-checking player he is.
I've got the feeling that Preston will lift their game on a dry day.
Well, I don't think there's any doubt about that, because Shaw must be a better player in dry conditions, but I still think they're 2 or 3 good players short of a good side. I think Preston may be disappointed this year, and I think, Phil, at this stage, that they may even go out in the first semi-final. I hope for Preston's sake it's not right, but Preston to me are undermanned and haven't got the big guns to attack Coburg or Sandringham, and at that matter, Port Melbourne, because once Port Melbourne are in it, you can never disregard Port Melbourne.
Right, well, we're having difficulty in getting into the Preston rooms. I'm just listening for Tony Banks down there, and they've been unable to get into the rooms, but we would like to remind you that we will be covering the Coburg-Port Melbourne game next week, and you'll get all the final scores in our news service tonight and Eyewitness News at 6 o'clock. But with Port Melbourne, even although they've consolidated their place in the 4, Rex, I don't think you can underestimate them against Coburg.
No, certainly not. Chadban is the leader of the pack, and certainly that Zanin, the injury to Zanin, could prove costly for Coburg next week. It all started in the centre of the ground for Coburg. It was Zanin to Halbert, to Fitzpatrick, to Mansfield, to Allison, and the little players ran amok because of the dominance of the aerial duels of Zanin. If Chadban can do the same thing for Port Melbourne, it could be reversed next week. And just because it's at Coburg, don't write off the borough, because, as I said, Coburg came here today. I think they'd be lucky to go home with 4 points, but they're going home and they've won by 10 goals.
All right, well, Tony Banks is still unable to make it into the rooms there. We can't get in. That's the message we have. Oh, well, let's had that. They've locked us out.
Well, Peter Waitman must be having a real solid talk to Preston. They have to come out, I think, next week, Bruce, against Box Hill and have a slaughter. I think they have to win by 12 or 15 goals. Bad luck for Box Hill, but I think if they go in the week after next to the first semi-final against Port, if Port happen to do Coburg, I think Preston may be out of air for this year.
I've got a feeling you might be right. Port beat Preston here 3 weeks ago by 5 or 6 goals. I think Preston are in a bit of trouble. We could be seeing the end of an era, Phil, because they really have dominated. They've won the last 2 premierships. They had that big win over Frankston last year. And I would say at this stage they're going to find it very, very hard to come back from here.
All right, well, that just about winds it up for this afternoon. Unfortunately, we delayed there to try and get into the Preston rooms, but unable to do so. So until next week, on behalf of Tony Banks, Ian Gibbs, Bruce McAvaney and Rex Hunt, we wish you all a very good afternoon.
Today's VFA telecast was proudly presented by Mitsubishi Motors.
Sylvester Stallone is John Rambo. They knew he was innocent, and they didn't care. He was hunted, trapped, and forced to fight back. The movie, they said, could never be shown on television. First Blood premieres 8:30 tonight on 10.
Hello again. Following the strong swing against the state government in Nunawading, tonight Eyewitness News looks at the results and has comments from winning Liberal candidate Rosemary Varty, Jeff Kennett, Premier Kane and Prime Minister Hawke. The ALP has convened a special state conference next Sunday to discuss the government's refusal to hold an inquiry into the jailing of BLF boss Norm Gallagher. And we have the latest scenes from East Beirut, where 50 people have died and 100 have been injured in a car bomb explosion outside a crowded supermarket. These stories, together with all the sport and full weather details in Eyewitness News in 1 hour.
1980, Eyewitness News made a commitment to provide Melbourne with a news service second to none, and that's still the dedication behind Eyewitness News today. First with the news at 6, where Melbourne's #1.
M&M's milk chocolates. Delicious full cream milk chocolate, covered with a crisp, colourful shell. And now a new M&M's. M&M's milk chocolate with peanuts. Whole, fresh roasted peanuts smothered in milk chocolate, then covered with a crisp, colourful M&M shell. M&M's milk chocolates and milk chocolate with peanuts. The milk chocolate melts in your mouth, not in your hand.
Morning. Want something? Morning. If you have problem skin, then you know that ordinary washing doesn't remove deep down oil, dirt and bacteria. So Clearasil invented Daily Face Wash. For a different kind of clean. A pore deep clean to remove oil and dirt and help fight skin bacteria. And new Clearasil Daily Face Wash is non-drying. Your skin will look and feel great. There it is. Sorry.
New Clearasil Daily Face Wash gets your skin too clean for problems.
Goodo with real beef or real chicken is irresistible. It's an all-round meal that's deliciously moist and chewy. Goodo, the tastiest meal around. Now in a new, bigger pack.
Get Westpac's Getting Started package. Handle your money your way and live life the way you want to. Get started at Westpac, the bank.
For lunch, you can't go past Denny's. 24 hours a day.
One of the most successful Australian miniseries ever produced. The story of a woman scorned and a fight for revenge. The Logie Award-winning series that has taken the world by storm. Return to Eden, 8:30 Monday and Wednesday night on 10.
Sitting with a straight back, breathing deeply, rhythmically. Silently repeating the name, Yesu. Ye, as you breathe in. Su, as you breathe out. Ye, Su. As you close your eyes, focus on the space between your eyebrows. Meditation is as easy as breathing.
I'm David Johnston, inviting you to join me when we take a look at the world's miraculous machines. Mankind is standing on the threshold of a new era, a technological revolution that is changing the way we work and play, and even the way we live. With the use of miraculous machines, quadriplegics can obtain an independence that has been denied them. Paraplegics can learn to walk again, and jobs that are too dangerous for humans can be done with ease. Miraculous machines, what would we do without them? Join me Monday night, 7:30, here on 10.
Solid Gold is brought to you by Juzz. Welcome to Solid Gold with this week's hosts Crystal Gale and Lou Rawls, and recording stars Rick Springfield, Kim Carnes, Weird Al Yankovic, Paul Young, Gene Knight, James Ingram and Patty Austin, an interview with Carly Simon, and the Solid Gold Dancers.
If you don't rush down to your Nissan dealer and reserve your Pulsar hatch, this sort of value really will be gone forever.
What are these stuff in this room?
There's some electronic gadgets.